All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nutrition 101. This recording is just going to be going over the syllabus orientation, which is the same stuff we will have talked about in class, but wanted to have a recorded version of this lecture for you guys to come back and review in case you ever had any questions or concerns about some of the policies and things that were discussed in the syllabus. So in this recording, I'm going to be discussing information for both sections that I'm teaching this quarter, 3 and 4. Both of the same class type, they're both hybrid and are set up essentially the same way. We just meet on different days, so have a slightly different course schedule for when things will be covered or how they'll be covered. But essentially everything should be the same, policies, setup, etc. So that being said, let's go ahead to the next slide. All right, so basically everything that you need for this course is going to be available for you on Canvas. And so navigating Canvas should just be done through the modules tab. And I plan on recording another video, or maybe at the end of this video, I'll go ahead and move over to how to navigate Canvas so I can show you where things are at and what some of the assignment types look like. So I will be holding open office hours every single week on Wednesdays at 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. You can attend these office hours either in person, coming to see me in my office, which is SAM 414, so on the 4th floor. Once you come out of the staircase or out of the elevator, just turn left and follow the hallway until you find my office. Or you can attend via Zoom, and the link for the office hour Zoom is in this PowerPoint, it's in the syllabus, it's linked on Canvas. So just find it wherever is the most convenient for you. So a little background about me as your instructor. So I was born and raised in Florida, went to school in Florida. I attended Florida State University and just moved to Seattle about 2 years ago now. So at Florida State University, I studied biology and psychology as an undergrad with particular focus on cellular biology and evolution. And then during for graduate school, I got my master's in STEM teaching. And specifically, I focused on college STEM teaching and took classes that were mainly focused on modern pedagogical teaching techniques, instructional techniques. Science teaching in general has been going through somewhat of a revolution the past 10 years, changing in our understanding of what works for teaching science. And I try to bring those ideas and philosophies into my class as much as possible. And so you'll see stuff like that throughout the quarter. So trying to focus on overarching concepts and ideas and much less of a focus on having you guys memorize a bunch of facts and terms. There is still a bit of that. Of course, it's unavoidable, but I don't put a lot of emphasis on it. And trying to involve the class in explorative activities where you get to actually utilize the information that you're learning in class rather than just straight up just learning the facts and having to figure out how they apply later. So that's a bit about my grad school. As an undergrad, I got to do undergraduate research where I was studying the effects of our microbiome. And so if you don't know, the microbiome is describing the bacterial cells that live in and on your body. There are about 1 trillion of your own human cells that make up your body. And then there's 10 times that number of bacteria that live in and on us. So 10 trillion bacterial cells. And that might seem scary at first, but we have co-evolved with these bacteria. All organisms, all multicellular organisms have bacteria living in and on them, and we rely on them very heavily. And the past 10 years or so, we've started to understand how those bacterial cells, specifically living in our gut, not only affect how we digest our food, which we've known about for a long time, but also affect our psychology, so our behavior and thinking. And so I got to do a little bit of research on that early on, while this was still a very new science. And over the past 10 years or so, it's come a long way. We actually have found a lot of really exciting information about how these bacteria actually affect our psychology. It's really cool. And then towards the end of my master's program, I was also published for developing a lesson using the virus that causes COVID-19, just SARS-CoV-2, using that as a model for teaching about mutation and gene expression, and essentially evolution as well, which I had a lot of fun doing, testing and then getting to write this paper. So that's a bit of my background. And so something else of note here, right? I did not study nutrition. I am not a nutritionist or a nutrition expert, right? However, I was very much focused and very much enjoy biology, and the background of nutrition is biology. And this course is going to be a lot of biology and chemistry, not just because that's what I enjoy and what I love, but because that is what this course is about in general. That's what the textbook goes into. So if you signed up for this course to just simply learn about food and groceries and cooking, you may be a bit disappointed with the content. We will touch on those things, but a majority of understanding nutrition is the biology behind it. So how our bodies actually use the different molecules in our food, how they can affect our different cells in different ways, and then how you can use that to then be critical in your choices with your nutrition. So outside of academics or outside of my professional life, I like to explore. I like to be outdoors. Like I said, I'm a Florida boy. My mother was always working outdoors. She's an extension agent teaching, or she was an extension agent teaching marine biology. So almost all of her classes were outside, on the beach or in the swamps. So I was always with her doing those things. My stepdad was a Boy Scout leader, so we were camping, kayaking, canoeing all the time. So growing up was outdoors a lot. And that's one of the things that drew me to Washington as the state, because of its insane diversity of wildlife and geography. Right? We have all 7 natural biomes present in just our state. You can go from the ocean to the desert to the rainforest to the mountains all in one day. Right? So I love getting outdoors and exploring. I also spend a lot of time indoors playing video games. I've been a gamer my entire life. And I think that played a big role in what drew me towards science. Developed a lot of the scientific thinking and practices that I use every day, right? Creative problem solving, analysis, learning to accept failure, learn from it, and try again and utilize what I learned from that failure. Right? Those are all things that are very prevalent in video games. And the game I've been playing most recently is Baldur's Gate 3. The last time I checked, I have around 240 hours in this game since I got it in September. So that means in the past 5 months, I've spent 10 full real days in this game, which is a lot, which is crazy to say and think about. But anyways, games have done a lot for developing my scientific skills and practices. And so still today, I enjoy getting to practice those in my games and use them in my games. Also pictured here, you see my crazy dog, Coda. This is probably the wildest photo I have of him while he's shaking around this tree branch, and my beautiful wife, Heaven. And here we are in the Olympics National Park. Okay, so now getting into actual content for this course. So if you are enrolled in section 3, we meet on Mondays and Wednesdays at 11:45 a.m. to 12:50 in SAM 203. If you are enrolled in section 4 HY, we meet at the same time, but on Tuesdays and Thursdays in a different room, SAM 307. Other than our meeting times, basically everything else is going to be the same for this course. But those meeting times do end up changing, like I said, when or how we address some of the content in this course, because we have different days that we miss for holidays, or for instance, this week, right? School didn't start until Tuesday. So I get 2 days with section 4, but I only get 1 day this week with section 3. So we're trying to kind of cram whatever I'm covering in 2 days into 1 day for this section. But again, other than that, everything is generally the same. Okay, we talked about office hours. Something else of note here, the only way that I will discuss specifics about your grade is one-on-one, where I can see that I'm talking to you. So that means either in person or on Zoom with your camera on. Right? Your grades, your assignments, any of your work is protected, and so I cannot share that with anyone besides you. And that includes your parents or siblings or family, unless I have explicit permission from you to do that. So I will only discuss specifics about your grades one-on-one with you. Okay, course objectives. I'm not going to be reading through all of these, but I have this slide in here to kind of just talk about the concept of course objectives and learning objectives in general. So every single course you enroll in should come with a list of course objectives in the syllabus. These are describing the knowledge and skills that you are expected to have once you have passed this course. Okay? And so in the same sense, these are the knowledge and skills that I am hoping to help you learn throughout this course. And that way, if you receive a passing grade, then whoever is, or whatever next step you go into, if this is a prereq for you, or if you are going into a job that requires you have taken a nutrition course, you can share with them these course objectives, and that shows them exactly what you learned while you were in this course, right? So it's a good idea to always read through the course objectives during the first week of class to get an idea of what the course is going to be about, so that you can make a decision as to whether or not you actually want to be enrolled in that course, right? So there's about 12 of them for this course. Okay. The textbook for this course is not required. Okay. I provide everything that you will need to complete the assignments and to complete the assessments in this course for you through the slide decks, like the PowerPoint that I'm using, and additional readings if there are any. So you are not required to get the textbook. However, if you have the funds available to do it, and you want to make sure you are getting the best learning experience possible, then consider getting a copy, right? So you can skim through it before class or read through it to help bolster any knowledge that we do talk about in class. But again, not required, but it is called Understanding Nutrition. It is by Whitney and Rolfs, and any addition should be generally fine. All right. Okay, course design, right? So this is a hybrid course. That's why you see the HY in the section name. And by being hybrid, that means that we do not get our full contact hours in person. So this is a 5-credit course. That means that you should be getting 5 full hours with your instructor per week to cover class content. However, we only get 2 hours and 10 minutes per week, right? We have 1 hour and 5 minutes per meeting. We only meet twice per week. And so that extra 3 hours or so is intended to be used watching recorded lectures or any additional material that we might have covered in an actual class meeting. And so the way this course is designed, it is with the expectation that you have at least watched each recorded lecture once before you come to class. So when we're covering nutrients, chapter 1 of the textbook, chapter 2 of the textbook, I would expect that you have watched the recorded lectures that I've published on Canvas before you come to class that week. And that way, while we're in class, I can spend time focused on the overarching concepts or some of the more difficult ideas. I can give you practice at applying those ideas. Right? So it gives us a lot more flexibility and freedom to actually improve your learning rather than me trying to fly through the slide decks in that 1 hour or 2 hours of time. So please make sure you are watching those recorded lectures before class as much as possible so that you at least have a basic understanding of the topics that we will be discussing that day. Okay. We will also be having online assignments published and posted in Canvas for you. Grading in this class. Again, I meant to fix this before doing this recording. This is not the full breakdown anymore, or this isn't the definitive breakdown. Essentially, there are 5 different assignment types in this class. You'll have quizzes, essentially at least 1 per module, 1 per topic that we cover. There will be 3 diet analyses, which are larger assignments. We'll be using a free to access website called chronometer.com that allows you to track your nutrition and assess some of it. So you'll be using that website to complete 3 of these diet analyses, which is one of the course objectives for this course. I know that diet tracking is not a healthy thing for everyone, and some people have backgrounds that makes diet tracking triggering or uncomfortable. So I also provide some optional data for you to use. So you don't have to look at your own nutrition, your own diet. You can just simply use the meals that I have published for you or posted for you so that you can at least still get the practice of analyzing that information without having to worry about thinking about yourself, right? Because I don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable about the content in this class, but it is a required part of the class to do these analyses. Backtracking a little bit, something of note on the quizzes. For each quiz, you will get 3 attempts to get however many points you're looking for, and only the highest grade will count. So please make use of all 3 attempts until you get a 100 on that assignment. The other assignments category is just really for anything that doesn't fit into these other 4. So these are things like reflections, course evaluations. There's some documentaries you'll be watching throughout this quarter. Those fall into other assignments. You'll be working on a group project throughout this entire quarter. So starting around week 4, you will have been put into groups, and you guys will work through the entire quarter, ultimately culminating in a 10-minute presentation during our final exam day, the last week of the quarter. And this group project is intended to give each of you some agency, some control over what you learn in this class. So your groups will be developed based on topics and concepts that you are interested in learning about. And I guess without getting into too much detail, you'll hear a lot more about this as we go on, but there is this large group project throughout the quarter. And then there will be 3 exams. So one at the end of each unit. This course is organized into 3 separate units. They are not cumulative exams. So exam 1 is only covering unit 1, chapters 1 through 3. Exam 2 is only covering unit 2, which is chapters 4 through 6, etc. And yeah, so your final grade at the end of the course will be dependent based off the college-wide grading scale. So a 95% and above is a 4.0, a 65% is a 1.0, anything below is just a 0. However, I do calculate your final grades based on a modified curve. And so what this means is whichever individual student in this section, in your section, earns the highest grade in the course, that becomes the new 100. So if the highest grade at the end of the quarter is a 96%, every single grade gets bumped up 4%. Right? So that 96 becomes a 100. If you had an 80, you've been bumped up to an 84. Okay? So if the highest grade at the end of the course was a 98, everyone gets a 2% bump. So that's essentially the curve there. So keep that in mind as you're looking at your grades. I can't guarantee, but it's very likely that you will get at least a 1 to 2% bump at the end of the course with that. And again, I'm not segregating your grade based off of these percentages anymore. This is what I tried out last quarter and found that this weight system actually ended up negatively affecting most grades. So I've just done away with that. And your final grade would be based on total points earned out of total points possible. Another important note here is the late policy for this course. You are welcome to submit late assignments within 1 week of the due date. However, as soon as it is late, as soon as you have turned an assignment after the due date, it is only eligible for up to 50% credit. There are exceptions to this. If you have reached out to me and given me a heads up that you won't be able to turn in an assignment because you are sick or there's a family emergency or some other life responsibility going on that is going to impede your ability to submit that on time, I am very likely to give you an extension or an exemption from turning that in late. But yeah, in general, this is the policy. So please try to turn assignments in on time. If it's getting towards the end of the due date and you have a couple assignments that you haven't turned in and you're trying to determine which one to work on, choose the one that is worth more points, because that is going to be affected more significantly by this 50% debuff, right? So say you have a diet analysis due and a quiz due in the same week, and that diet analysis is worth 25 points, but the quiz is only worth 12. Try to complete the diet analysis on time instead of the quiz, right? Take the 6-point deduction on the quiz instead of the 12.5-point deduction on the diet analysis. Okay. So we talked about all this essentially about what the quizzes are like, the diet analyses. Like I said, we'll be using this free to access website, chronometer.com. You'll have 3 of these. The first one will be simply based on breakfasts or your first meal of the day if you don't eat breakfast. The second one will be snacks. And then the third one will be your entire diet for a week. Group project, again, you'll have more information about that later. And then 3 exams, none of them are cumulative. Here's an important note that I didn't talk about yet. Or I guess a couple of these bullet points. So each exam will be conducted in person. So in class, during class time is when you will take these exams. They are not online. They will be on paper in class. And my exams are open notes. So you are welcome to bring any handwritten or printed materials to class or to the exam. So you're still not allowed to use any technology. You can't use your phone, your laptop, tablet, Apple Watches during the exam. But any handwritten or printed material is fine. The exceptions to this are the PowerPoint slides from the class, the textbook, and any like keys that I post. So for instance, we'll be doing some in class activities or some tables that help organize information. And then I will publish a key for you to use to check your work. You cannot print out or bring that key to class. You must at least handwrite the info that was from that in order to use that info during the exam. So please keep that in mind. All right. So a general look at the schedule. This is available for you to review at any time. I highly recommend you print out this page from the syllabus and keep it somewhere where you will see it often to have a general idea of when we'll be covering which things and when your exams are, etc. Again, it looks slightly different for the two different sections, 3HY versus 4HY. For instance, this week I only get to meet once with section 3. And so we are going to be trying to cover basically this entire slide deck and all of cell bio, or at least a little bit of cell bio on Wednesday. I will likely need to cover some of that cell bio content on Monday, but the idea is that the assignments that relate to these things are still due this first week. Whereas for my other section, I get to have 2 days to split that information. So I get a full day on cell bio. Okay. And so that stuff kind of falls throughout the quarter, right? Section 3 has a lot more days that we miss because of the college being closed. So we missed the first day of class that we could have potentially had because quarter hadn't started. We have Martin Luther King Jr. Day and then Veterans Day. Whereas for section 4, we only really missed 1 day throughout the quarter because of Faculty Development Day. So just keep that in mind. So best practices for success in this class. If you want the absolute best chance of earning a 100 in this class and getting the best learning that you can from this course, before class, you should be reviewing the learning objectives. So just like how the course objectives describe what you are expected to take away from this course in general, the learning objectives that are published with each module are describing the information or the knowledge and practices or skills that you are expected to take from that module, from that chapter. Or again, to rephrase, that is describing the knowledge and set of skills that I am hoping to help you learn in that chapter, in that module. Additionally, the exams, the assessments are created to assess whether or not you have achieved those learning objectives. Okay? So these are a really great tool for understanding what information you should be focusing on during class, during note-taking, as well as a study guide. You should also be watching the recorded lectures before you come to class, which I talked about earlier. If you get the textbook, I highly recommend you skim the chapter so you are familiar with some of the terminology and concepts that we'll be talking about. And then also, if you have the time for it, briefly review the assignments and the instructions that come with each assignment. That way, when you come to class, you know kind of what is going to be asked of you or how you're going to use some of that information that week. And if you have any confusion with any of the assignments, we can talk about it in class rather than trying to discuss it the day that it's due or the night that it's due, where I may not see that email, see that message, but I'll definitely see you in class. During class, it is highly recommended that you take notes by hand, so either with a pen or pencil on paper or with a stylus on your tablet. There is a plethora of research that supports the idea that that is the best way to learn through note-taking, is to do it manually, because essentially that is using more neural pathways, more interconnections, and thus making stronger connections with that content. While in class, you should focus your note-taking on what is being said. So don't spend your whole time trying to quickly write down everything that's on the PowerPoint slide that is being presented, because you have these slides for whenever you want them, right? They're on Canvas. So you don't necessarily need to write that in your notes during class. In class, you should be focusing on what we're talking about. So what it's being said, maybe what I'm writing on the whiteboard, what other students are sharing, anything that's going to help you with making that information click, developing an understanding, rather than just blocking all that out and quickly trying to write stuff down that you already have access to anyways. During class, please ask questions whenever you have them. Okay? I promise I'm very nice and very considerate. and will never make you feel stupid for asking a question. And the only way you will get answers to questions that you have is if you ask them. I can't read your mind and know when you are confused or not understanding something. So you have to let me know. So please, please, please do. And then if you have personal experience, input, application for any of the information we're covering, please also share that. Okay? As an instructor, I can only do my best to share this information in the way that makes sense to me and or the way that I think is going to help you understand it. But that's not always going to be successful. And so one of the best resources we have in the classroom is all of you. And we have a room full of 30 students with unique experiences and backgrounds. And so each of us is going to think about this information or have experience with this information in different contexts. And so the more people that are willing to share, the more likely we are to be able to connect with everyone in the room. So please share when you can. After class or outside of class, you should budget about 7.5 hours per week working on course material. And this does not include the time spent watching recorded lectures. So this is not considering that 5 contact hours. Okay? So if you want the full thing here, you should be budgeting about 10 to 11 hours per week to work on course material. If you do not have that time outside of class, outside of our regular meetings, consider taking this course again in a future quarter when you have a bit more free time or less classes in your schedule. Okay? If you are simply relying on class time to develop your learning, you're not going to succeed in this class. That's matter of fact. I can't do anything else about that. So please consider that thoughtfully as we get to the end of Ad Drop week here. After class, you should then go back and use the PowerPoint slides to review and add on to your notes or watch the recorded lectures to do so. Make sure you're checking Canvas regularly for any updates and your assignments that are due. And then I highly recommend you find a study group. Okay? I'm going to have you introduce yourselves to each other in class in a way. And of course, you'll be getting into groups for your group project, but that does not mean those are the only students you should talk to in this class. You should get a study group going with other students. You guys can help each other out. And then of course, seek assistance. Again, the only way I know that you're struggling or I know where your confusion is if you come talk to me. Okay? So please, please reach out to me frequently whenever you need it, whenever you're lost, whenever you have questions, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Some additional tips. If you have not already, please set up your Seattle Central College's email. Canvas is automatically set up to send any of your notifications to that email. School notifications, updates, and things are going to that email. So if you don't have that set up, it's really easy to miss critical information and fall behind. So please get that set up as soon as possible. I'm thinking I'm probably going to record another video as kind of a tutorial for how to do that if I can find the right info, but please get that set up if you don't have it. And then go into your Canvas account settings. So in Canvas, you can go to your profile and go to settings. And if nothing else, mess with the notifications. Go to your notifications tab and set it up the things that you want to be notified about and where. You can change it from your SEC email to your Gmail or whatever, your personal email. You can change it to notify you over text. You can make sure Canvas is only notifying you about the things that you care about and not notifying you about things that you don't care about. Okay? So really good idea to go in there and mess with those settings. And then lastly, get connected to campus Wi-Fi as soon as possible. It's always really awkward when we're trying to work on a class activity and students are struggling to get onto the Wi-Fi because they haven't done that yet. So please just do that at any point that you're on campus and have some free time on campus and have some free time. And so, yeah, if you ever need additional help, of course, you should contact me. But you should also check out the Seattle Central College's Student Services website. We have free tutoring in the SAM building on the first floor in that main area. There is the student counseling services, which you have access to if you ever need any sort of counseling for free through the college. And then lastly, the Accessibility Resource Center. So the Accessibility Resource Center offers accommodations for any kind of disability that you may need help with, and not necessarily just disabilities, and not everything needs to be a disability, right? For instance, I have ADD, attention deficit disorder. I was not diagnosed with ADD until like late in graduate school. So I was experiencing my symptoms and struggling with things like taking exams in a room full of people where there's lots of distractions, and didn't know that I could get accommodations for that. So really anything, if you have noticed that you really, really struggle with test anxiety or with being in a timed exam where you only have an hour, or being in a room full of people, right? Anything like that, you should consider looking or checking out the Accessibility Resource Center. They're on the first floor of the BE building. Just talk to them about what they can offer and what might be suitable for you. And then they will send me a letter with those accommodations. I cannot set this up for you. So if you have accommodations, don't reach out to me, reach out to them. Because if I reach out to them, I can't get that letter. So please reach out to them to get those accommodations letters. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and jump over to Canvas to give you guys kind of an overview of what our Canvas site looks like and how to navigate it. So let's go ahead and share screen over here. So this is section 3's Canvas. Again, it should look generally the same. I'll move you over here. Whenever you open your Canvas site for any courses that you're enrolled in, you'll automatically be taken to the home page. For this week, it's all of our introduction and welcome information with your syllabus, a little bit about me, some getting help links from the college, and then your first couple of assignments from Module 0. However, this is not all the information that you need this week. And this homepage will be regularly updated as we move throughout the quarter with kind of like a snapshot of what you can expect for the upcoming week and what assignments are due. Basically, everything else that you need in this class is going to be accessible through the modules page, the modules tab. Let me actually go into student view, so I'm only seeing what you guys have. Okay, so at the very top, we have general information. This will always live at the top here with our meeting times and locations. Again, this is section 3. So if you're in section 4, this says Tuesday, Thursday, and we're in SAM 307. Everything else is generally the same. Syllabus is here. This group project module will also live at the top of our Canvas page, or the top of this modules page. This will continue to be expanded upon with more and more assignments and information as we move through the group project. Whenever you have the time, please check out the group project info PowerPoint. We will talk about it in class, but I can give you a bit of a heads up there. And then we have our first couple modules for this week. So let's look at module 1, because this is more representative of what a typical module will look like. So for most of our actual content, each module will have the set of learning objectives. So this is going to take you to the Google document with all of the learning objectives for the course. In each module, sorry, get out of here. In each module, I have it linked directly to learning objectives for that week. So this one took you to cell bio. Module 2 is going to take you directly to nutrients. Right? And these are really, really important for you to look at and keep in mind as you're taking notes and studying. We have our pre-recorded video lectures for you to watch. Right? So this is linked directly to YouTube, or I have it embedded directly on this page. You can just watch it here or go to my YouTube channel and use the playlist to move through that info. The PowerPoints that I use in class will always be included here, so the slide decks, and then whatever assignment goes with that content. So this week, for both sections, you guys have the syllabus quiz and student info sheet that you should submit, and then the nutrition overview and cell bio quiz due on Friday. Okay. Again, go into your account and go to your profile or notifications to set up your settings and make sure everything's looking the way that you want. And yeah, that's about it for this recording. So I will see you guys in class and or in the next recorded video. All right, bye-bye.